approaches as well. So do you want to, I think yours kind of echoes that a little bit, but do you want to talk about what the difference is between the people that you really, really helped and then the people that you kind of let do their own thing?
All right. Well, like Megan was saying, I've done both approaches. I still currently do both approaches. When I first started, I definitely was the hand holder. I thought, I'll take these people under my wing. I will teach them the ways of it works and the tips and tricks that work. And the thing you just want to be careful with that, there are some people that really need it. You just really want to make sure that you're not overextending yourself. With this business, you're not a manager. You're not here, these are not your employees, you're not here to teach them every single little step. The tools are there for them to learn these steps as well, and you're there to help them, help guide them, and be a leader. But you're not a manager, you're not a boss. So that was something where it was hard for me when I first started, that I kind of spent a lot of time, more time than I should have been spending. I should have been also focusing a little bit more on my own business. And I found that sometimes that can make you feel tired. So that's just something to kind of be aware of as well, that you're not overextending yourself. You are available there for your team, but making sure that you're available there for yourself and for your business as well. The things that I kind of noticed for some people, like I said, some people do really need that. It's not so much that they might not take off on their own and keep going. The people that do need some extra time of yours aren't necessarily people that are wasting it. There are some people who do actually need that time. But just sort of get a feel for people, and if they are actually going out there and doing those tasks that you're asking them to do, as long as they're doing it, then you know to keep going with it and to keep working with those people. Some people, like we had said as well, they kind of just take it and they go, and half the time they won't return messages, but they're out there working their business. They're like, don't bother me. I'm out here. I just signed up 3 loyals today. I'll text you back when I can. So I guess what I'm kind of getting at with it too is we've all kind of done both sides of it, and there's not a right or a wrong. Just really making sure that you're also focusing on your business and making sure that you're having fun and that you're out there being a leader and not a manager, to kind of recap that. Did that kind of answer your question?
No, that's good. Totally. One of the other things that I really love about when I launch a new distributor is, I think it was Kirsten that came up with, there's a list of, these are your, so we didn't go over this too much today because it is, go to your training academy, go do this, like a little checklist of all the things to go through. But it's so interesting how that list evolves, because I'm pretty sure I've had this conversation with Fallon and a few other people, and it goes something like this. I'm really sorry for how I launched you when we first started this business 3 or 4 years ago. Because things change, and even that list since, it's probably a year ago that I got my hands on this. It's changed ever since then. So make sure you have a bit of a system, a bit of a checklist, whether it be someone else's or yours, that you go through, but let it change as your style changes and as you get more in the know about what works for you in this business, because it will. We really were flying by the seat of our pants, and now that system is kind of already in place, so it makes it a whole heck of a lot easier. I just got one more question on here for Tara. So you were telling me about a daily challenge that you're working on right now and how you find the time to fit that in. So do you want to elaborate on that, about keeping in touch with your team?
Yep. So it kind of started off with my sponsor and I had a little bit of a rough couple months, and I needed to pick myself up a little bit. So we decided to build a challenge that daily her and I were going to send gratitude messages back and forth for something that we were grateful for. And then at the end of it, we were going to choose one person that day that we were going to send them some love, whether it was a pick-me-up or just how much we appreciated them or the values in them that we really enjoyed that helped, inspire us, kind of thing. And trying to find time. I have 2 kids, one's 6 and 2, so one goes to school and one follows me everywhere. And trying to find time to send messages sometimes or make those phone calls is really hard. So what I've done is, when I drop my daughter off for school, I try to leave, 5 minutes earlier so that she can go play in the park until the snow falls. I sit in my car and I send my messages at that point, because I know I have 5 minutes of free time without being distracted by anything or anybody. And every morning, that's been my routine from Monday to Friday. I send those quick little 5-minute messages to 2 different people, and that's how I am making sure that I'm keeping on. I've built my schedule, my routine. That's what I'm doing, and I found in the last 2 weeks that this has really helped me personally build more happiness in my life, just being able to send that gratitude to somebody and knowing what I'm grateful for instead of looking for all simple little negative things. I'm finding more positive in life, and it's helping me and helping my business grow in the last 2 weeks.
I love it. And I love the setting out the specific time. I think that's something that we all struggle with. You have this list of things that you want to do every day for your business, but it kind of gets lost in the other things. So if it's your time that you're sitting in the vehicle while you're dropping off or picking up a kid, or every morning while you have your coffee, you're going to send out a couple quick notes, or you're going to do a quick follow-up during that time, but setting that same time every day. So when you sit in the vehicle at that minute, it is like, get on my phone, this is my time to do work. This isn't to flip through the radio or to scan my Facebook news feed or those kind of wasted minutes, to make sure you're using it. But then also when you're starting somebody new, encouraging them, like, what is your couple minutes of downtime? Where can you fit this in? How much time do you want to put into this? And, you know, if that's going to be your time every day, then, you know, set that aside. I think it makes it a little bit easier than trying to cram it at the end of the day like some of us have done. So that's all I've got for questions of these ladies. I'm going to thank you very much. I appreciate your
Thank you so much, Megan. I'm going to give you guys, I loved all their answers. I thought it was amazing. I love how we have different personalities on this side of the chair as opposed to here, and then we got a mix over here with Danielle of them both. It's going to be what works for you. And it's figuring out what works with your day, with your time, with your calendar, with your schedule, and your personality, and the new distributor's personality. That being said, I don't like to complicate things too much or think too much in it. So what I personally do when I launch a new distributor, I find, let's say I have a new lead, they just signed up. What do? I send them a little welcome video that I made. And it says basically, hi, I'm Kirsten. Welcome to the team. I'm so excited to have you. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to your training academy. I want you to go ahead and book a practice party. And I want you to go to the team pages and check out some of the files. So I give them a couple of tasks. And then I say, you write me right after, and we're going to set a phone date. And right after that, I let them come to me. It's their business. They are launching their own $1 million business. If they can't come to me for the next step, I got to move on, because we are in a ground level. We are in a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity with thousands of people that want this opportunity, that will give me a phone or give me a message to set a phone date. Okay, at the odd time, I play that little yellow side, and I'll check in again and say, hey, haven't heard from you. When do you want to set that phone date? If I don't hear back, they're in my team group still. I just call it kind of like a back burner, so to speak. They're still in there. They're still tuning in. And the second they want to get going and they message me, I'm all in with them. But I have a theory of I give them the exact percentage of effort that they're giving me. 0% gets 0%. 50 gets 50. Right? So if they're coming to me, they're like, okay, I'm ready for my phone date. Some of them will message me a couple hours later. I'm like, okay, this is a runner. Next day, I still think, okay, runner, let's go. We get on the phone, and what do? We talk about their practice party. We talk about setting that date, and we lead up to it, and then we check in a couple times a week with each other. So I like to keep it simple like that. It helps me filter, because we have to, being in such big momentum. Otherwise, you're going to spend your time praying that person helps get you to ambassador, chasing them, asking them to get going, begging them, going after them, calling them, and they don't really want it. And a lot of times, I find this is almost like a relationship. I always compare it to like say a guy and a girl. A girl is chasing a guy. She likes him. She's oogling over him all the time, and he just doesn't care. He's looking the other direction. He's walking off. He's flirting with all these girls. The second she turns her head and goes the other direction, he's off chasing her, right? And it's kind of like that in this business too. You give all your attention. Sometimes they take it for granted. You look away for a little bit, and all of a sudden they come running as well. So let them come to you. You give them the tips, the steps to success. It's in their hands. It truly is up to them. So thank you guys for all of your awesome information. I truly appreciate it. The other thing I love, the time management. Because when you're launching a new distributor, you've got to put it in your calendar for what you're going to do and when you're going to do it with them. Because there's going to be a time when you're launching 2 or 3 or 4 people, 5 or 6 or 7. And you're really going to want to set that time management. And Cami taught us the 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 rule, and Megan is actually amazing at implementing that. She sets a timer and says, if I've got 3 hours today, 1 hour is going on personal development, because that's the 1/3. 1 hour is going on my business and my leads and following up with them. That's the other 1/3. And then the third is checking in and with your team. But a lot of times people do 98% checking in with their team. And that's why your business slows down. So I love that as well that you guys talked about that, because that is so important when launching new distributors. You want to make sure that it's actually in your calendar and you're going through it. So thank you so much. We have another speaker. So how many of you are moms in the room? Okay, there we go. See, just 1, 2, because they're boys. 3. So they're dads. Maybe 4.
Dads, yeah.
Not dads yet. So, when we are a mom, it can be super busy. When we're a single mom, it can be even crazier sometimes. So Heidi has been through it all. She has started out, just like everybody else, as a distributor, skyrocketed her business, and we're going to be real. It's plummeted, and she's building it back up. And she's going to talk about how, being a mom, a single mom, and finding your way with this business. So welcome up, Heidi.
Hi, I'm really nervous. Hopefully I don't sound retarded. Yeah, I'm done. Ice is broken. When I joined this business was almost 3 years ago, and at the time I was married. So I'm not going to actually talk about why my why was back then. Most people have probably heard it. For sure my team has heard it. It's a pretty big why. And that's the first thing I'm going to say. Your why is going to change as you are in this business. So don't go back to your first why, because as you're growing as a leader and in your team, things are going to change. That's just natural progression. Fast forward a year, I hit double diamond. 6 months later, I left my husband. Now I'm a single parent of 2. And this was all last year. I left last February. And my business started to fall. I will say that I was still getting paid. So as I was going through all this emotional stuff, I was still getting paid. Residual income is huge in this business. You can go on vacation, you can go through emotional stuff, you're still going to get a paycheck. I don't know any other job that you can go to that's going to pay you when you have stuff happen in life. So keep that in mind when you're building your business and you have those bad days. Being a single parent is obviously very difficult. Is anyone else here a single parent? Time management is huge. Last year when I first became a single mom, I feel like I stopped doing my business for a long time. And it was kind of like, well, I can't wrap you because I have my kids. Well, I have to wait till the weekend when they're at their dad's. Well, I need a babysitter. My why is my kids. And I started using my why as my excuse. So I stopped wrapping people. Now, it's actually funny because a couple days ago I was wrapping someone. My stepdad messaged me, "What are you doing? I'm wrapping someone." Well, where's the kids? I'm like, they're with me. He calls me, he's like, a couple hours later, "How can you wrap someone with your kids with you?" I'm like, that's the power of being a single parent. I have to, because if I don't, my business is going to fail. And in all honesty, it's fun. People meet my kids, they get to play with other people's kids. If they don't have kids, bring some toys with you. Like, be smart about it, be proactive. I have a prospect here. When I went and wrapped her, I brought my son with me because that's what I had to do. So don't use your why as your excuse. I feel like this company is a huge blessing for us, and I sometimes think that people don't really understand that. We've all probably worked regular jobs, 8 to 5, the alarm clock, all that stuff. This takes that out of it. I'm a single parent and I stay home with my kids. Let that thing sink in. What other job could I do that I would get paid more than most of my mom friends that have husbands that also work, and I still get to stay home? I drive my kids to school, I pick them up, I go to activities, I wrap in between, I deal with my team in between, all that stuff. What other job could I do that would allow me to do that? Probably not much, eh? Maybe another multi-level marketing company that's not as cool as it works. So I definitely feel like this company is a blessing. And I feel like when you are out there and you're having those bad days, you need to go step back a little bit and think about that. Most of us know the sky isn't even the limit. I always say to my team, it's not, your mind is your limit, not the sky. Because look at Kirsten, look at Jacqueline. Did you guys think you'd be sitting here making how much 5 years later? Like, it's honestly crazy. So I think sometimes when we get depressed, we think, oh, my team's not doing something or whatever it is. We need to go back and say, okay, this is a blessing. This part of my story is new for me, so I might cry. In early September, I had 3 moles removed, and one of them came back melanoma. So when that happened, I was shocked, obviously. But when my doctor phoned me to rebook to get more taken out, I kind of said to him, how come I'm not sick? And he's like, well, I don't really know because your biopsy came back severe. So you should be really sick. Like this should have metastasized. You should have cancer basically. So I said, I went into his office, I booked my appointment, and I showed him ingredients on my phone. I showed him all the ingredients, and I said, I've been drinking this for 2 years straight every single day. And he just kind of looked at me and he was blown away. He's like, you didn't get cancer because your body's alkalized. Cancer cannot grow in an alkalized state. So basically, it work saved my life. So I'm a single parent. I don't have cancer. And here I am, I'm living. So you have to. I still have bad days. There's still days when I get up and one of my team calls me and says something silly. But I go back and say, where would I be if God did not bless me with this company? I'd still be in an abusive marriage. I might have cancer and be sick. Where does that leave my kids? So you have to look at what is this doing for you and what is it doing for your family? Because I could have quit this company 1,000 times, and I'm not going to lie, I've thought about it. But would I be making the money I'm making if I got a job? Would I be driving my kids to school? Would I be able to afford to buy greens to keep me healthy? Probably not. So don't use your whys as your excuse. And just remember, the next person you blitz, you could literally change their life. Because if I had never heard about this company, I might be dead, honestly. So that's all.
Thank you.
Just a quick note, I had some prizes I was going to be giving away. One was a green folder. I don't know if somebody accidentally grabbed it on the way in. Oh, you're just borrowing it. That's good. You can borrow it. Maybe we'll draw your name. Let's see. Thank you so much, Heidi. Such a powerful story. I know a lot of people have heard her why before. The reason she, skyrocketed right away to get out of the marriage and to be a bit healthier. So thank you for being so open and honest and sharing with everybody. I want to do a little recognition in the room. I want to see what kind of, we talked about where we came from. I want to hear what levels we're at. How many of you have just signed up with It Works, have been in it just under a couple of months? Awesome. Stand up. Let's give them a round of applause. Awesome. How many executives do we have in the room? Stand up. Let's give them a round of applause. It's so exciting. And rubies? Awesome. Love it. Good job, guys. Emerald? Yeah. That's one of our big winners, the $20,000 get out of debt set. Great. Yes, on the plus in the room. And then we have diamonds. Diamonds in the room. Are there double diamonds? Do we have triple diamonds in the room? I know we have presidential. And I know we have a couple of ambassadors in the room. Awesome. All right, can I get the double diamonds to come up here for a second, please? I know. Surprise. Yes. Come on up. Surprise. This is your test on becoming a leader. Awesome. So these are amazing double diamonds. Money gets pretty crazy at double diamond. Diamond is cool because it starts unlocking the compensation plan for some bigger bonuses. Mark Pentecost says the license to print money. And it really is, because you can control your check going up thousands of dollars if you wish at this point in the game. So I want to just go through, give you guys the mic for a couple seconds. and just share and just share a little bit about your story and your journey. You know, just take a minute or 2 minutes. Just want to hear a little bit about it.
I'm already emotional after Heidi. Like, this is ridiculous.
I love they have great stories.
I'm sure most of you, well, maybe not actually. I'm seeing a lot of new faces. When I joined this business, I went to a wrap party with a girlfriend that actually Megan hosted, and was absolutely blown away by my results. I've had 4 kids, and they left me with a lot of skin and stretch marks and not pretty stuff. And I always thought, you know, one day I'm going to need surgery on that. But just months before going to this party, my husband had actually left me. And so here I am going through the whole, you know, nobody's ever going to want me. I'm unattractive and just really, really bad self-esteem, self-image, all that kind of stuff. And not knowing how on earth I'm going to provide for my 4 kids. I was a stay-at-home mom. My ex-husband was in the oil field, so he made all the money and I got to stay home. Started a family right out of high school, no education outside my high school diploma. So I went to that wrap party, wanted more product immediately, absolutely had no money. I was on income support at the time. And so when I started looking over the business side, I realized that, you know, if I were to buy that business kit and sell all the wraps, that puts the money back in my pocket, but also unlocks the possibility of earning cash, both with the company and the wrap sales. And then, of course, the wrap rewards, right? And I thought, wow, that's the cheapest way I could possibly wrap myself. Every couple customers get that wrap reward. So I joined the business with not a lot of, not really thinking long term or anything, just in that moment, this is how I'm going to wrap myself really cheaply. And then I went to conference. My family actually helped get me to conference after joining just a couple months. And that's where I really caught Mark's vision for the company and understood that this was so much bigger than I realized. And they announced the $10,000 good bonus when you got to Diamond within 3 months. So I left conference and went home to my kids and said, you know, we're going to get this bonus. Like, mom's going to work her butt off, and there are going to be times when you're left with babysitters, or I may even drag you along. But, you know, give me 3 months of your time, and this is going to change our life. So that's exactly what I did. I didn't stop. I was actually cut off of income support basically as soon as I got back from conference because my youngest had turned a year. And I had no plan B. I knew I couldn't afford childcare for 4 kids, so something had to happen. And yeah, so I went through a period where my power was cut off, my water was cut off, went to the food bank, all that non-pretty stuff. But at the end, my hard work paid off and I got that bonus. And then a year after getting that bonus, my ex-husband got really sick and stopped paying his child support because he wasn't working and still isn't. And so that left me in a bit of a financial crunch. Living on a Diamond paycheck just wasn't quite enough without that child support. So again, I worked really, really hard and got myself to double Diamond in 3 months. So yeah.
Wow. Hi, I'm Linda. When I first started with It Works, a friend of mine had signed up as a distributor and set me up with one wrap, which I didn't believe in at all and was reluctant to try. And she kept bugging me. And finally, more to get her to leave me alone, I thought I'll try this wrap. And in my wisdom, I thought, how will I be able to really tell? And I thought, I'll do one leg. And so one wrap, and I wrapped one leg. And then, of course, you all know what happened. I had different sized legs. And you could tell. You could tell. My husband could tell. My sisters and friends were like, yeah, that one. So I was in a predicament. I had to get another leg. So I, of course, decided this is crazy. This is amazing. I'm going to sign up as a distributor. And it just made sense to go that route. And before I even had finished enrolling myself, I had my 4 loyal customers just from seeing my different sized legs. So I sat down, signed up as a distributor, signed up my loyal customers all, you know, within 24 hours. It was all processed and done. So then, of course, the next step was to wrap the other leg. And
things were good. And then my upline, my same friend, Jessica, insisted I try the greens, which I just couldn't wrap my head around. I'd seen greens before and they smelled like a farmyard and I didn't want to do it. And so she gave me these greens to try and we didn't have the little single wrap, so she brought me this little container of greens that I looked at and finally decided to try, and I felt great. I had all this energy and got everything done in the day, and I remember sitting down and thinking, okay, I'm going to try the greens. I'm going to add the greens. And then she had said something, be a product of the product. And I thought, okay, let's look at this. What else could I try? And I picked the product Confianza. I had a lot of trouble at the time with mental clarity. I could never have done this without stopping and saying, oh, what were we talking about? Like I would really have lost track of what I was saying. I was stressed about things. I had great husband, 3 kids. Life was good, but working part-time, lots of bills. So I added the Confianza, I added the greens, and started taking those 2 products every day. Well, of course, I kept wrapping. And it was like this cloud left. I could focus. I felt better than ever. My energy went up. And it was just, I felt like a new person. So on my dream board, one of the things that I had wanted to do was go to university. And I never could concentrate enough to do it. And I did. I thought, I'm going to take 1 course. And then a month later, the Confianza is building up in my system. I'm going to take 2. And, this is the spring. And by the time I'm registered, I said, I'm going to take 4 classes. I'm going full time. And I did it. And I did really well. And I'm in my 3rd year right now. So 3rd year university full time. I worked part time until last year when the company I'd been with for 14 years closed. Was conveniently right at the same moment that I hit Diamond. And I thought, I don't need to find a new job. And just kept going and then hit Double Diamond. And my goal when I started was just to make enough to pay for my own product. That's all I wanted to do. If I could pay for my own product, I would be happy. And, Kendall kept pushing me. She said, that's not a big enough goal. You can do better than that. So finally, after much persuasion, I decided I would be an Emerald. Because if I could be an Emerald, I could pay for my daughter's Invisalign. And then that would be good. I would be happy at Emerald. And then it was like you start understanding how multi-level marketing works and how if you are charting properly and really paying attention and building strong, how easily everything is unlocked. And it is a lot of work, but it is a lot of fun, and you get to be part of a great team. So for me, it's been a really amazing journey, and it has been life-changing. And I have a great team that just really lifts me up, and I'm thankful for every one of you. And a lot of you are here today, and some watching. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Lots of new faces. I'm Stephanie Kenley. I recognize a lot of you, but a lot I haven't, so this is exciting. I started with the company, actually my 2-year anniversary is coming up December 12th. So December 12th, 2012, I joined after telling Jacqueline Scott no a few times. I stopped answering messages. I'm like, oh, those crazy rat messages again. And I wasn't opening the messages. And what happened during that time period is I went from teaching full-time to having 2 babies, both of which fractured my back. And so I came out of my 2nd pregnancy over 100 pounds overweight on a broken frame. And my husband worked in Fort McMurray. He was gone 24 days on, 4 days off. And 2 of those 4 days off, he was driving, so got home pretty much 2 days a month. And I was in survival mode. My kids are 13 months apart, so it was like having 2 babies, trashing house, destroying house, no energy and ability to chase them, pick them up. The morning I knew something was really wrong with my back. Actually, my daughter, I kept going to the doctor because I was having so much pain. They're like, you just had a baby. That's why you're in pain. I'm like, well, I'm a sissy then because I can't even sit on the floor and play with her. And I kept going back, and one day I couldn't stand up. And my daughter woke me up, and I couldn't get out of bed. I had to flop onto the ground and army crawl into her room. I pulled myself up on her crib, held her, and back flopped down onto the ground with her, put her on a towel, and pulled her down the hall so I could go get the phone for help because I couldn't support my body in my hip, like in my pelvis region. And so that was when I'm like, hey, something needs to happen here, like something needs to change. And I tried and I'm so emotional after your story. I'm really going to try not to cry, and I'm a messy crier, so I'll try. But Jacqueline's like, try the wraps, what do you have to lose? And my science teacher brain was telling me too good to be true. So I got a treatment, first wrap, didn't work. My skin was smoother, but there was no lifting. And my second wrap on the second day lifted everything up and started to pull everything back in. I started on the greens, and I actually went to a lady who was able to take my blood, put it under a microscope and show me what it looked like, and this is pretty cool for a science teacher. And all my blood was stuck together and going green. And that was a sign of poor digestion and high acid in the body. And the two big things that feed and fuel cancer is low oxygen and high acidity. So that scared the bejesus out of me. I ordered the greens that day and started taking 10 scoops a day for a month. And I went back for a month later, took my blood again, popped it on the screen, and my blood cells were starting to break apart and there was no more acid. And so I like hook, line, sinker, let's do this, it works. In that time, not only did I physically see what it was doing on the inside, but I could feel it. My pain improvement, I was on 8 Percocets a day just to cope, paired up with Percocet. So I was just barely getting through the day. And so in that month time of taking greens 10 scoops a day, I was able to go off of all prescription painkillers. I was sleeping at night because I wasn't having to adjust myself every 10 minutes because of the pain. My improvement was probably 70 to 80% just from taking greens. It was helping move all that acid out of my body. My mom with MS, I had her try a couple things, and her main symptom, well, she gets the nerve pain, but she found that she's extremely tired but too restless to sleep. She'd go to bed at night and her mind would just keep going, and she'd be shaking and twitching and not able to calm herself enough to sleep. First night confianza, within 5 minutes, she felt a lull come over her and she was able to sleep all night that night. And so I remember crying on the morning, it was January 2012, crying. I was like, okay, let's do this, we could do this. So the good bonus was announced a week later, and I thought it was around the time I had to let my school district know if I was going to come back to work. Childcare was going to cost like $1,300 a month just to put my kids into daycare so I could go to work and spend my day with 30 other kids and not see my own, and then come home to cook supper, put them to bed, mark, plan, start the day over. And so I knew I wanted something else. At first I thought $500 a month would pay my car payment and take some pressure off my husband. And when they announced the good bonus, I said, why can't I do it? And so I had until end of March, and I promoted Diamond end of March, and in April my husband promoted Diamond as well. So we both got $20,000 from that promotion. Went to conference last year. It was my first conference, and it was life-changing to be a part of something like that. A month after conference, promoted Double Diamond and got a $20,000 bonus. And so hopefully that triple comes back, triple good this year. I'm going for it. But it's been life-changing. And this spring, my husband actually lost his job. He works up in Fort McMurray, and the job was canceled completely. And I was just thinking, what, thank goodness. It was going into the summer when things were slowing down and people weren't hiring. And I was making, at that time, there was months where I was making more than my husband's oil field paychecks. And so it was like, I got this. It took the stress off of it. Stay home, find a job you really want to do. I got this. And with teaching, I never, ever would have been able to do that in a million years. So it's been life-changing. Your why has to make you want to cry. And my why, I'm not good at cry, but it's to bring my husband home. My daughter's just starting skating lessons. She just started play school this year, and he's missed all the firsts of everything. And I don't want that to be the same when my little guy, my 2-year-old, starts getting into activities. I want daddy home and daddy to be the one to take him skating and take him to learn to ride a bike and to be that dad that's present. And so that's my why.
I guess I'll go back to the beginning now. When I joined, it was November 2011. I had an 8-month-old and a 2-year-old. And I was in an abusive marriage. So when I first started, I ordered $500 in products, sold it all right away, and then did nothing. Has anyone else done that? Just kind of don't do it after you get. So come January, my then husband was like, well, you sold a lot of those wraps, why don't you do it again? I was like, yeah. He kept bugging me about it. He was good for something. So at that time, I found out that the person that signed me up actually quit, and so I was really like a fish out of water. What am I doing? Like I have no clue about any of this stuff. All I know is the wrap works, and people want it. So I messaged the person that signed me up. She's like, "Oh, I'll put you on this Facebook page. Like you can figure it out." She was just completely not interested. So I ended up going on a couple team pages on Facebook, finding out there was a meeting, just a little meeting at an Earl's in Edmonton. Go to that. Kirsten's there. Kendall's there. These are just normal people. That was the first thing that really stuck out to me, is that they were really normal. Because has anyone ever been to an Amway meeting? It's a little bit weird. Actually, it's a lot weird. You feel like you walk into a cult. So I was a little bit like, okay, what am I gonna find here? So then I go in, I sit down. There's, people are in their sweatpants. It's not a big deal to have something to eat. And they had just come back from conference, and so they talked about the good bonus. And so I was like, $10,000. Heck yeah, I'm gonna get that. And I just set my sights on it. I really didn't think about anything else. It was like, all it was talking was $10,000. And I thought to myself, if I could do that, that's just going to help me get out of this marriage faster. And so I ate, slept, breathed. It works. I would breastfeed and be talking to people on Facebook. I would put my son to sleep and stay up till 2 a.m, wake him up and feed him, and then go to sleep so that he wouldn't wake me up. He's a great sleeper, thank God. But I got the good bonus in 3 months. So I was excited. It was like, okay, this is the first step done. The second step is to get to double. And I think most of us have seen the chart. We know what the comp plan looks like. And I kind of said to myself, if I can get to double, then I can make enough money to actually survive without this nonsense. And so I did that. I set my sights on that. And I made double diamond in November of that year. So it took me exactly 1 year to go double. At conference in January, so this is technically the second year I've been in, but the first year I got to go to conference, I heard Fallon on stage, little Fallon in front of 6,000 people. I was peeing my pants for her. It was awesome. But she talked about
that part.
She talked about her story, and I was sitting there beside my mother-in-law and sister-in-law and some of my team and thinking, wow, I'm going to do what she did. I'm going to be a single parent. I'm going to do this business. And it just made me more excited. It made me feel like there is people doing that. One of the really cool things is when I was literally walking into conference to register, my now landlord texted me and said, I picked you. So it really seemed like it just seemed like it was just an appointment. Like everything was happening that was supposed to happen. So I'm sitting in there and I'm hearing Fallon's story, and it just gave me more courage to do what I knew I was going to do. Come February, I was a single mom, 2 kids. You kind of know the rest of what happened. But yeah, I feel like once you get it, you just kind of have to keep going. Triple diamond. Let's bring back the triple good bonus.
Do it anyway. Thank you guys so much for sharing. Awesome. I love hearing the stories. It's really what gets me going. It reminds me exactly why I'm in this business. So I just truly appreciate that. So one of the common things you would hear with all 4 of them was, I thought, why not me? And they started to just believe in themselves, and they realized they could do it. So our next speaker is going to talk to us about beliefs, talk to us a little bit about believing in yourself, creating a vision of where you want to go with this. And I couldn't think of a more perfect person to do this, because she is just the most amazing woman you'll ever meet. If you hear her story and get to know her, you're one lucky person to be in her presence. So I want to welcome up Jen Hallett. She is going to do a little training with us on beliefs and vision. So come on up, Jen.
Yeah, I'm just going to hand these out. Sorry for all the dudes in the room because there's pink on it. So, my bad. So I just have to say, before I get started in my own thing that I have prepared, is I'm so incredibly inspired. And I might cry because that's why I come to these things, because every time you do, it doesn't matter if you've been in it for 2 weeks or you've been in it for 5 years, there's always going to be something you can take from it. And I just love to be part of something that is so much bigger than just what's going on in my life, because when you hear people having challenges and pushing through it and actually building this business, that's really what makes this an exceptional place to be. So, whew, deep breath. And Kenny, Heidi, I've never actually met you, but your story is ridiculously awesome. And I'm a bit of a roller coaster myself, going up, coming down, going up, coming down. So I completely relate to where you're at, and I'm inspired by you entirely. So, my little thing for you guys today is really talking a bit about your belief systems and how it actually impacts this business and life in general, and as well as how to take action in your business every day so that you're actually achieving the result that you want. So just to give you a little bit about my story, I came from very humble beginnings and didn't have a lot of family support even at a very young age. I was in and out of foster care, grew up in a family with income assistance, also people that have also been very sick, so mentally, physically, just not well. And so why beliefs is something that I'm so passionate about is because my whole life, my mom, who was a single parent, really told me that I would not amount to much because I consistently rebelled everything that she did for me because I was just seeking the very basic human need, which is love. And so the fact that I can sit here today and say that I have some success in my life, that I've been able to break some very major boundaries that were set for me at a young age is really big. And so what I want to do is just, for some of you that have already kind of heard a little bit about this, you might have been through this exercise already, but I want you all to stand up. Stand up. So this is just a demonstration of how your thoughts actually can be either positive or negative, but I like to lend to more towards the positive side of things. So if you just want to create some space between each other, enough to put your wingspan out. If you're at home, you can do this as well. So get your wings out. So what I want you to do is you're going to be able to do a full circle with your wings out. So make some space. Okay. Okay, so with your arms out, if you have back issues, please be aware of your body. Don't push yourself to a point where you don't think you can go. But put your arms out from side to side like this. Good. And what I want you to do is rotate in one direction as far as you possibly can. So basically rotate all the way around, twist, keep your feet stationary, twist, 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 and just make a note of where your surroundings are. So look at the wall, look at the person that you're looking at, anything that you can possibly see. Do you see that visual? Good, okay, come back. Put your arms down. So what I want you to do is close your eyes and actually revisualize where you were actually at when you were twisted around as far as you could possibly go. You guys have that in your head? So what I want you to do is now think about yourself going a little bit further. So maybe you look at somebody else that was a little bit out of your reach in that moment. Do you see that? Okay, good. Open your eyes. Now what I want you to do, put your wingspan out, and I want you to go ahead and twist again. Who went further? For those of you at home, that's 100%. Okay, you can sit. It's magical. So I guess what this exercise is supposed to demonstrate is that what you think you can do, you can. So when you were at your max, when you were twisting as far back as you possibly could, you thought, okay, I'm not going any further. I can't go any further now. My body isn't going to allow me to do that. But then when you take a moment to reassess, look at where some of the obstacles might be and actually see yourself going further than you were before, what happened? You did. So that's kind of the takeaway from that. Now, belief systems are something that are integrated into us at a very young age, and it's something that takes time to actually overcome because they are, in some cases, obstacles. But what I love is that if you're brave enough, you can actually push through those boundaries, and what you're left with is a success. And that is kind of how so I'm not going to say that every time you want to change a belief that it's going to be as easy as turning your body, but that to believe that you actually can is really important. So that's kind of looping it back to this business. If you think you can, you will. If you think you can't, you won't. And it's very simple. And if you don't feel like you have the frame of mind to actually operate there, then find somebody who has overcome some of those obstacles and reach out to them and say, okay, like, how did you do it? And you know, just even listening to the whys, the double diamond whys, they didn't allow what was going on in their life to stop them from achieving something because they saw the purpose of achieving it. And so was it easy? Like just a couple of you, was it easy to go through what you did to get to where you got? Probably not. But the point is they did because they believed that they could. It was like this momentum. So when you talk about your beliefs, that leads very much into your why. So when you're first starting this business, or if you've been in this business a long time, it's really important to identify with that and to not lose sight of it. And the minute you start to lose sight of it, reach out. That is the beauty of network marketing. All the people in this room have some sort of inspiring story to tell and something that you can actually pull from. Not that you want to be an energy sucker, that's a little different, but if you're looking to improve the way that you feel about how you're doing this business, there's so many great people here to draw from. I mean, I have my own sponsor, but that doesn't mean I don't talk to people from my sidelines or downlines or uplines. There's such a wealth of knowledge, so get connected. So the other thing is, a lot of people get stuck in, okay, I'm going to make myself better, I'm going to fix my beliefs, and then they read books and they do a lot of things that really are great, but knowledge sometimes does not mean action. So you can know a lot of things, but what you put into action is very different. So you need to kind of own up to that a little bit and say, how much am I internalizing this versus how much I'm actually doing to change it? And that's the scary part for people. Moving through fear is something that not a lot of people have the bravery to do, but we all do it in our daily lives, and it's really important to maintain that momentum when you're pushing through those fear limitations. So in this business, you want to know what your outcome is, and that is why visualization, having a vision for your future, is very important. And you'll hear a lot of leaders in the room say things like dream board or my why. These are essential, not just in It Works, but life in general. So you want to be able to know where it is that you're going. So just to give you an example, at a very young age, I'm 33 now, just turned it last week. But when I was 20 years old, I found Anthony Robbins. Does anybody know who that is? He's a very powerful, inspirational speaker. And I decided at a young age that I did not want to live the life that my mother lived, or that, you know, some of the people that I was surrounded with were living. And when I found Anthony Robbins, I literally went through his little tape program at the time. And I found that it takes a lot of courage, but if you have some continuity with how often you take those steps, you'll actually move through it. And his biggest thing is, don't live in here, get out and do it. Get off your butt when you don't want to, and you will make things happen. At 23, I started journaling. Does anybody else journal in the room? And I started writing down the things that I wanted in life. So I wanted to go to school. I wanted to own an investment property. I wanted to make X amount of dollars per year. I wanted to do all of these things. And at 20, you think, I don't know, is it possible? Maybe. We'll see. This is kind of hokey. I didn't really understand the purpose of it then. But just a few months ago, I was going through some old boxes, and I don't really tend to carry a lot of stuff because I'm a minimalist, but I have a box of my journals, and I pulled it out, and everything that I had set out to do, I achieved. I didn't even know it. And so to me, that's amazing. So if you can know your outcome before you start, don't ask how you're going to get there. Just know that you're going to get there. And whatever journey it is that you have to take to get there, that's yours. It can take you 5 minutes, it can take you 12 years. Like it's really your journey. So this is one that sometimes I struggle with because I am an internalist. I do like to overanalyze, that's my personality. But start moving. Taking action is going to either make you or break you in this business. And as long as you don't quit, it's okay to have moments where you don't want to, but it's a business. It's not going to grow for you. You have to do it. And so one of the things that I kind of have started doing to increase my awareness of how much I'm putting in is to actually set timers. So it was kind of uncanny that you mentioned that. So everybody in here would agree that we all have some elements in our life that make us busy, right? Hands up. Who feels that they're busy? So one of the things that I've taken out of my vocabulary lately is I'm too busy. And you want to know why? Because I have a choice. I choose to do the things that I do. I choose to get up in the morning at 6:30 and work out. I choose to work a full-time job. I choose. And you know what? Some of that stuff is essential in life. We need to get paid. We need to do things to keep us healthy, but it is a choice. And it's funny because busy often is, there are some things in life that distract us that we equate to as being busy. So just a show of hands, at home too, you can do this assessment. How many people have looked at their phone, text, or been on Facebook since this whole thing started? Almost everybody. So we're not truly present. And I think that's a really important key. Is a lot of people build their businesses online, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's a great tool. Social media is a great way to reach out. But there's a lot of people who just spend time looking at what other people are doing. Oh, what's the latest task on the board? Oh, what's that person doing? Oh, I'm just looking at my newsfeed. I'm not actually doing anything. And so I just recently attended a leadership seminar that really dug into how social media and how we distract ourselves in our life, which actually disable us from achieving success. So texting, Facebook, all those things, unless you're using it for a purposeful, intentional purpose, then you're really just using time that you think you didn't have, but you actually have. So you could have used that 5 minutes to just scroll through and see, hey, what's everybody up to text a loyal, to text somebody that might be interested in this business. So you have to put things into perspective. Who else likes to watch things like The Bachelor? And you know, who has PVR? Lots of people. So people make this idea in their head that, oh my God, it's 6 o'clock, gotta watch Bachelor tonight because it's the final rose ceremony. But really, we probably could say, okay, I've PVR'd it. I can fit that fun time into my schedule, but what's more important? If it's important for you to succeed in this business, there are some things that you may perceive to be sacrifices that really are not. So people will use things like social media, texting, and TV, and they say, well, I don't even have time to spend with my kids. And it's like, well, you do. So not getting distracted and actually taking action to do some of the things that these ladies have given you, some of the tips and how to launch your distributors, how to get in touch with those people. Being accountable for the distractions that you place in your life and perceive to be busy time is really important. So that is something you have to kind of look at internally and say, where am I actually busy? So getting up and taking your kids to school, that's a must, right? You have to do that. But where are the areas of your life where you can kind of shave down a little bit? Setting goals is something that I've always believed in, and is something that I've cultivated at a very young age. So who sets goals in the room? I'm always interested. Whew, that's a lot. That's awesome. How many people set action plans for those goals? A little bit less. So that's the key. If you're going to set goals, you actually have to set measurable actions to achieve those goals. Without the actions that you can hold yourself accountable to, they're really just, I want to do this in life one day. And that's okay, because that's the, I want to see my future. But if you actually want to see it come into fruition, you have to kind of do some of those things to make that happen. What I love, again, about network marketing, and something that I didn't always appreciate, because I had a bias with network marketing in the past about, you know, being salesy, and it's kind of culty, and, you know, it has this negative nuance. And I find that people make a lot of excuses for why they can't do this or why it's not working for them. And I just had this little aha moment when you know, the biggest action I think you can take in this business is actually talking about it. So you don't have to have 2 hours in a day that you consistently can talk to people about it, you can incorporate this into your everyday lives. So when you're out at the supermarket, when you're getting your hair done with a friend, when you're getting petties, whatever, you can talk about this. And I find that a lot of people say, well, I can't do that. And blitzing, I think, is this afternoon. So it is a big hurdle for people, or they perceive it to be a hurdle. And the one thing that kind of came to me is when you get your hair done and somebody's like, oh my God, I love your hair. Where'd you get your hair done? That's so amazing. Well, that, but you say, oh, well, yeah, it's my hairstylist and she does it for this and this is how much it costs and it's really awesome. And nobody has any issue doing that at all. Because you're like, oh, your hair looks fabulous. Okay, well, you got to go to this girl. She's amazing. But when it comes to promoting this product, people are like, well, I can't do that because I'm harassing them. I can't do that because I don't know how to talk to people about it. And how many people have had amazing results with this product? Wraps, greens, Confianza, everything has had some sort of amazing result. So why don't we get hopped out about it when we want to talk to somebody? Just like when we get our hair done. So that was a huge aha moment for me and for taking action and talking about your business. So I handed out, for those of you at home that don't have this, a little calendar. It's a Monday to Friday calendar, and it's blank. And this is a strategy that I have used in my life in general because I have this perceived busy, because I do like to take a lot of things on, and I choose to be that way because I enjoy it. It's something that I've always kind of done. But with that, life inundates you with a lot of things, and if you don't have a little bit of structure, sometimes you get overwhelmed, and then that overwhelming state takes you out of that productivity, which is really important. So I handed out a little weekly calendar, and what my intent here for you is to kind of take a look at your days, because obviously everybody's day is going to look a little bit different, and you're going to want to structure it. So you don't have to do this now, but I would expect that if you want to see a change in your business, that you should take some action in this regard somewhere. So Monday to Friday, you're basically going to outline what you have to do each day and how much time you're going to devote to doing it works. So if you have an hour, great. If you have 15 minutes, great. Whatever that is for you, commit to it. And then in those 15 minutes, structure it. What are you going to do? So I like the 1/3 rule. Are you going to contact some customers? Are you going to talk to somebody about the opportunity? Find some time to do it. Then, when you get home and you actually are going to sit down and do this, actually physically set a timer. No distractions, and yes, I know with people with kids, sometimes that can be challenging, but try to find a time where you have 0 distractions. Don't Facebook unless it's to actually contact somebody directly. Try to just keep it really free for yourself. And if you can't do 15 minutes, you're like, this is kind of hokey, even try 5. I don't care what it is, but structure it out in your week. A lot of people don't operate in structure. That's okay too. So if you don't want to do it so regimented, then literally pick the time and say, okay, at the end of the day, do a little bit of an assessment. Did I actually commit 15 minutes to my business? And I just want to say, if you want to get real when you talk about goals and where you want to go with this business, if it's just to make an extra $500 a month, that's a perfect goal for you. If it's to be an Ambassador Diamond, that's a perfect goal for you. But you should also try and reach out to those resources and say, well, what does that take? It takes a first step, of course, but if you want to reach a certain goal, you need to know how to get there. ItWorks has done a great job of giving us some of those tools so that we can get started. But if you don't understand the work that needs to go in to get to where you want to go, then you might be disappointed if you don't reach it. So it's really important to have that visibility. Results come from taking action. So what I want you to do over the lunch hour is really take some time with your teams to fill out these calendars. Hold accountability groups. I love the suggestion from Tara with her sponsor to kind of say, every day we're going to do this so that we have some measurable experiences, and then go and do it. Action is going to define you in this business. Pushing through when you have challenging times will also define you. And what I love is that it's not going to always be easy, and anybody that has had some success in this room will tell you there are late nights. There are lots of bumps in the road that happen. Nothing ever typically happens smoothly. but it's how you react to that that is going to bring you into the area that you want to be in. So that's kind of all I have planned. So that's it. Thanks.
Awesome. I know I took away a lot. How do you guys take away a lot of information there?
Yeah.
That's good. Awesome. Thank you again. That's so great. Okay, we have some diamonds in the room, and I know they didn't know they were going to come up and talk, but come on up to the front. I'll interview you guys to make it a little bit easier. Come on up. Diamonds. I love hearing the stories. When we were at the first panel, I thought we got to go through this and hear you guys as well. So I'm going to let you share your story, actually. I don't even need to agree. She's so good at talking up here, so I'm going to pass it to Vivian.
So kind of how we started, and tell us a little bit about your journey. Okay, well, so let's see here. I had a friend that I went to high school with, Emily Orr. She's triple diamond, and I hadn't seen her in probably about almost 10 years, and we used to be really close, and I started, it was one of those people where you're no longer close with, but you're Facebook friends. So you see their posts here and there. She had been with It Works probably 6 or 7 months at the time, I think. But I started seeing posts. It wasn't just her, there was some other people. Holly Beveridge, Daisy Vickerson, some other people on there that I happened to know as well from school that were posting about this thing called It Works. I remember thinking, I don't know what this thing is, but that's a really hokey name. I was like, I don't know what this thing is, and I kept seeing them. And then I kept seeing posts for, oh, hey, we're going to do a team training, we're going to do this. And I actually messaged Holly first. So I messaged Holly Beveridge, and I said, what is this? Like, what are these wraps? Like, what is this business? And Emily was actually doing with Megan, actually. Megan was out there. And they were doing kind of a little team, if it was a team training or if it was kind of like a one-to-one mission. But I remember Emily saying, you should come out, just come here. So I came, I sat down, I listened. I was like, yeah, that's cool. And then Emily actually ended up coming to my house, and she threw a wrap on me. She sat down with me for 5-10 minutes, asked a couple questions about the wraps, and then she vamoosed. I think she had a launch party to get to. So I put the wrap on. I was like, you know what, this is cool. I think I wore it out for lunch, took it off. I was like, you know what, I think I see some results. I'm not too sure. I took probably a month. This is the kind of person that I am. I took about a month to actually go online. I didn't message Emily. I didn't message anybody else. All I did was do my own research. That is who I am. You're not going to get everyone who's like this, but some people are. So basically, I went online, started looking at products, I started looking at ingredients. I go to a naturopath. I brought a couple of the product information sheets with me. Just kind of talked about a couple of the products, like the greens and the confianza with my naturopath. She thought that they sounded pretty cool. And about a month later, I called Emily up. I'm like, hey, so she's like, do you want some of these wraps then, or do you want something? I'm like, actually, I want to be a distributor. But we hadn't really talked about that, so it was one of those things where it kind of caught her off guard. I signed up. At the time, we had slightly different boost kits that we had. Got the $4.99 one. Had a whole bunch of really great stuff in it. I got that. I think I had that sold within my first month. In my first 30 days, I got my $120 in product credit. I think I got that my first week. I had 8 loyal customers from my launch party. I had 20 loyal customers by the end of my 30 days. Not everybody is like this. Just for me, I was just really good at finding those loyal customers. But you know what? On that note too, I was one of those people that so I signed up November 5th of 2012. And I remember, I think it was by December, like around Christmas time, I had been talking with Emily, like, what am I doing wrong? I can't find any distributors. I don't understand how people are getting all these distributors. Like, I have none, or I had one, I think, and she signed up and then did nothing with it. And I'm like, well, obviously I'm a failure. So I didn't go to conference that year, but Emily did. And when she came back, she told me about the Good Bonus. And that was for $10,000. At the time, how the Good Bonus, what they had actually introduced at conference was that for anybody who was currently a distributor. If they hadn't actually got their good bonus yet or had never been a diamond before, didn't matter how long you were in the company for. You could have been in for a month, you could have been in for a year. Maybe you signed up, didn't do anything with it. But basically, you now had another 3 months, so 3 calendar months to get to being diamond. I was nothing. I was, well, not nothing. I was a distributor. Like I said, with one other distributor beside me, wasn't doing anything. And I think that full 3 months. But basically, I got my good bonus. That's kind of my long story short. So I was one of those distributors that I couldn't find a distributor to save my life. Everyone has their strengths. Some people find oils easy. Some people find distributors easy. Some people find none of it easy. And it just really is about how you're presenting yourself and what you go out there and kind of what kind of fire you're going to light under yourself. So it took me 5 months to get to it, but I did it. And there's always really cool bonuses that Works puts out there. So anyways, that's my story.
Awesome, thank you. And a lot of times you're going to see they didn't sign up on the spot the first second that they were met with their sponsor. That it took time, they created a relationship, and then they got going. So that's always something to kind of keep in the back of your mind that stands out for me when I hear the stories. All right, Tara, I'm going to give it to you because you know what? As I pull this panel, they're awesome speakers. I'm just going to pass them and just share a little of your story.
So when I first started was March of 2013, and I actually was being invited to a Leah Sophia party. But my friend that was hosting the party was like, hey, there's this girl here, she's got these wrap things, it might help you with your stretch marks or something like that. I'm like, okay, well, if she's got one, I'll give one a try, sure. So we go to the party, end up not really talking anything about It Works at all. Then the girl, my friend, decided she's going to sign up as a distributor because she wanted to use the vitamins and the defining gel for herself. And when she had her launch party, I hosted it for her at my house. And then I ended up deciding to be a distributor from that point. Because I ended up losing a ridiculous amount of inches. And my stretch marks went from flaming purpley red color being painful to clear. And having children has done a toll on my body because I get very large. And I also had another problem with my bowels. My bowels didn't really function properly. So I was maybe, we're going to talk about poop, but I was like a 5 or 6 dayer and resulted in bloating and in pain. I couldn't eat anything. I couldn't drink anything. And it actually was taking a toll on my marriage because I was complaining of all the pain I was constantly in every single day. And my husband never has pain with anything. He just lives his life like nothing happens to that guy. So he didn't understand how I could every day be in pain. I would drink water and I would get bloated and then I would be in pain and he just, it was really, he's like, oh, what do you know, you got a stomachache today. So, and at the same time that all this was happening, my second child was about 9 months old. And I was struggling with energy, and so I was drinking coffee, and then the coffee was hurting my stomach because it just was a vicious, brutal cycle that I was in. And then I started getting depressed. But I didn't know I had depression. I just was like, oh, I just don't have energy. So when I signed up, my sponsor, my friend, actually had no intention to do the business. She just signed up because she wanted to use the products for herself. And then there was a couple people above her that also didn't do the business. And so when I first signed up, I had no idea what direction to go. I just grabbed the product catalog, started reading. This said things that it might help detoxify me. So I was like, sure, I'm going to give it a try. So I took the greens, and within 2 days, my energy levels went through the roof. I was going to the bathroom and not having any pain. So I'm like, oh, I think this is something that I could probably do. I don't really want to go back to work. I have 2 kids, so putting 2 kids in daycare was about $1,400 a month. Plus, I lived in the south end of the city, driving to the north end, and I had a boat for a vehicle. So I was not really profiting going back to work. But I really enjoyed where I was working, so I ended up going back, but not even 6 months later, I was able to quit my job because I was making more money as a profit, even just at a Ruby level, than I would working a full-time job. So that kind of happened, and then at first I had a really slow start, and about this time last year, things kind of exploded for me. And then it started going, my team started growing, my volume was growing, and then I ran into some personal issues in the beginning of the year. I did go to conference. It was absolutely amazing. It gave me so many boosts and new relationships with new people that I never thought I'd ever build those bonds with. Go to conference, and then in June, I promoted to diamond. So me and my sponsor, we worked together and worked as a team, got our team going, got boosted up. And
Okay, so a little bit about me. I'm Constance. I'm from here in Mid-Year. So actually, I had seen some posts. Jacqueline had friended me on Facebook. It was kind of a weird story. She actually was in my brother's wedding. She was one of the bridesmaids. I was MC. I had my little girl. Never kind of made the connection. I don't even remember seeing you at the wedding, to be completely honest. It was so crazy. I was MCing, and I was thinking, gotta watch the little one, and making sure I was keeping everything on track. And so she friends me. I'm like, huh, who is this? I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah. Done. Totally not thinking anything of it. And then she's posting, and everything was always positive. And I'm thinking, my mat leave is coming up. I used to teach. I'm kind of starting to, think of ideas that I could do to stay home with my daughter. And so I started to message her. And I am type A through and through, and I want answers to every possible question I can come up with. So I think I must have bombarded her with 3 or 4 questions a day, and I was pretty snobby. I was like, well, what about this? Well, isn't this way? She was super nice, polite, always replied. I'm like, huh. So wheels are turning. I think it was about a month. I was like, well, I talked to my husband. I was like, what do you think? He's like, well, it's $100. We'll spend $100 out at supper. Give it a shot. All right. So I don't know if Jacqueline actually knows this, but the day she came over to sign me up, because I was like, I want you here, show me what I'm doing so I don't mess anything up. My husband was actually home. He had texted me about an hour before Jacqueline was to come and said I'm going to be home early today. And I was excited. I thought, well, awesome, you got the day off. And he told me he got laid off. He picked the company that he was with at the time because they had made these promises. And of course, we had started a family with these ideas in our head and where our future was going to be. So he came, and I said, Jacqueline's coming. What do you want me to do? Do you want me to cancel? And he was completely blocked off. He was just, I need my own time. I'll take Grace, our daughter. I'll go upstairs. So he was upstairs, and Jacqueline came. I didn't say 2 words to her. Why he was home, where Grace was, I said nothing. Signed up. And I remember talking to him that night, and he just said, we had gone over everything, and I had asked all these questions, and he said, let's just take it as a sign. We'll get through it. We'll figure it out. So I said, yes, we're going to do it. I'm going to give it everything. And I did. I had a really great, successful first month, had an awesome launch party, got my loyals. My first party by myself was 2 hours away with 12 people, completely out in the boonies, seriously middle of nowhere off a range road. Great time, and I felt momentum. It was great. It was awesome. So 3 months down the road, my husband finds another job. So now we're feeling a little bit of the crunch has come off a bit, and I get complacent. I'm going, okay, I don't feel like it's on my shoulders so much anymore. I can kind of take a breather. And it was January, or February 1st, I had signed up. And so I was kind of plugging along, and in August I hit Ruby, and I was, excited, making a couple $100 a month. It was awesome. And we were talking, and I said, I think I can get to this diamond. And the whole idea we had been talking was, I was able to make a couple extra $100 a month, we would have a second child. So luckily we got pregnant with our second baby. And so I said, yeah, I'm going to do it. And then you have you're chasing a 1.5-year-old, and you're getting bigger and bigger, and you get a little bit tired, and you start to use your why as your excuse. I'm tired, I'm chasing after her, I just need some downtime, I need to nap, everything. So conference was right over the time it was actually due with my son Lincoln, and we were in the hospital. And I said to Jacqueline and everyone else, I said, just text me, let me know how things are going. Obviously, I'm in the hospital, I'm having a baby, but I'd like to know, I want to know what's going on. And I told my husband, I said, I promise when baby comes, we didn't know what we were having. I was going to take some time off, kind of relax, just enjoy life. And I literally remember we had my son, And then I'm going through the news feed, and we're sharing a room because you don't get private rooms unless no one's in the room with you here in Red Deer. And so I'm going through, and the nurse had just come and checked on my son, and my husband's like, "Oh, are you okay? I'll go grab you a snack." Also, I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" He goes, "What?" I'm like, "Oh my gosh, Troy, you don't even know." He's like, "Oh my gosh, tell me we had a baby. I get it." I'm like, "No. Yes, we totally had a baby. I'm super pumped." But they just brought back the bonus. It's like, "Oh my gosh, we're gonna do it, babe. I know we're gonna do it." It's like, all right, let's give her. And I was at that point, I actually started to realize it wasn't so much about like the business and then the family. Like I just started to like learn to incorporate into my life. So all of a sudden I was talking to the lady next to me about greens and, you know, my experience with them and how they had changed my energy levels. I had taken them all pregnant with my son, on the wraps, everything. Like everything just kind of, I learned to incorporate it. End of March, I got the bonus. I was also one of those people too with the whole loyals. Like I was rockstar loyals. What the heck is with these distributors? Like I swear I have like this aura around me. They're just like, me, not coming near you. I started to go out without the idea. I'm looking for a loyal. I'm looking for a distributor. I started to go out thinking, I'm just going to tell you my story. I'm going to share something with you. And I found that over the last couple months that people just kind of fall where they're meant to fall. And I really found that it's really balancing out by not specifically going out, I'm going to get a loyal today. I'm going to go get a distributor today. I'm going to go out with both my kids, go shopping, I'm going to give a card, I'm going to talk to people. And I've just found that has really been my aha, and the momentum in my business and in my team has been phenomenal now. So that's my really long-winded story. Sorry.
Keep your attitude open and just go out there and just share your story. And I like that people will fall where they're meant to, because not everyone's going to be a distributor, not everyone's going to be a loyal. So that's awesome advice. All right, come on up, Jenna.
Okay, I'm really nervous.
This is her first time talking in front of the group, but she has persevered and gone diamond. And just share a minute or two about your story.
Okay. So, Heidi is my cousin. She's my double diamond upline. And sorry, I'm really nervous.
Got it.
You're good.
You got it, Jen. I got pregnant 2 weeks after meeting my now boyfriend, and I was pregnant, and I didn't know how I was going to support myself. Sorry. And I ended up not being able to work throughout my pregnancy, so I lived off $732 a month while trying to pay my student loans and get stuff for the baby. And Heidi just kept on telling me, like, you gotta sell this, like, you gotta try it. And I'm like, no way can that work, right? So I tried it, and my stretch marks were better, but I didn't see really any difference. And so she gave me another one, and I tried it, and it was awesome. So I said, okay, whatever. Like, I kept telling her, I'm broke, I can't afford it. And she's like, well, just do it. Finally, after, sorry. She bugged me enough, and I'm like, okay, whatever, I'll just sign up. I signed up after my son's first birthday, and I went back to work after 7 months being home with him, and that's really what I would like to do, is stay home with my son. And in May, I made the $10,000 good bonus, and honestly, it's just changed my life. Like, I'm so thankful for Heidi and my amazing team, and it's just awesome.
All right, big round of applause to all the diamonds. All right, it is so powerful. Again, every time I hear a story, it just reminds me why I do this, why I get up every day, just to help people. And you never know, you could be one Blitz card away from helping your next diamond, like Jenna. Right? It's just incredible, and you got to remember that you just never know. You could be one Blitz card away from helping someone with the cancer, being on greens, like Heidi. You just never really know what you're one Blitz card away from. So we are just about at lunchtime, but I want to do a couple of draws first. Just give me a second. I'm going to go get the couple of prizes up here. We'll do the wraps after lunch, like in the afternoon. But I have a couple of Padfolios and a couple of I Heart month-end wine glasses, which are really fun. Give me 1 second.
How about I first? Like I got through.
Alright, so all names that are in this draw. Okay, first one's for our Padfolio. I'll just mix them all up. Okay, put your hand and grab a wrap out. Sarah. Charlie?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, come put that in back. Come on, you in the Padfolio. Alright, next we'll do I Heart Month End Wine Glass as featured. Drinking like this at month end. Or month beginning, whatever.
Middle of the
Every
month.
night, whatever. You can drink whenever you want. Okay, my handy dandy helper with the internet. My Shawley.
Crystal.
Crystal Maurice. Nice. Grace. Okay, we put that back in, right? I do like to drink. Okay, next Padfolio. These are so off. A perfect writing tool, as we've learned. Excellent for that. Holds all your stuff. Go around town, pull out your Blitz cards for people. Keep your notes. Okay. All right, who's gonna draw this? Danielle, our farthest out of towner, all the way from BC. Ballot. All right, and our final wine glass. Let's get Jenna. She can draw this name. For being so brave up there.
Marlene.
Arlene. Yeah, there we are.
You can go ahead and drink your way to success. That's what we all really do.
It's fine to put your greens in, like little shots of greens in it too. Okay, so we have an hour and a half for lunch. I allocated that just because it's kind of busy around here. Parking, because going out and coming back in, another $5. Think about carpooling with someone, or I can go out to my vehicle. I have a few extra parking passes left, so you can get back in without paying again. So just let me know, or talk amongst each other, carpool all together, so that's a lot cheaper to get back in, or you can steal a parking pass coming back in, okay?
I thought that it was like one time pay for it.
Is it?
Yeah, that's what they tell me.
If you leave, they make you pay when you come back in?
Yeah, they told us it was $5 when you come in once, and if you wanted an all-day pass, it was $8.
Oh, okay. So
If you're leaving for lunch, it's $8.
there is like a little craft show going on here. You can walk in. You can maybe even do a little. Well, we should check. There's a booth there. Okay, we don't want to blitz them. We can go visit them, say hi, make the booth look real busy.
There's a concession here as well. So
Yeah.
if you want to just stay.
I'm thinking like I might just go down to the concession, come back and visit and mingle a bit. But you can go to restaurants and let me know because I have passes for you to get back in if you need them. Yeah, I'll go grab them from my car. Hey everyone, we're gonna break for lunch. I can't wait to see you after.
Sorry. I just want to say hi to someone.